What's up, tubers? Tio here, Simplistic Fishing, coming at you tonight to give you another lake breakdown. That's right, tonight we're going to jump into Lake Livingston down in southeast Texas. This one's going to be a good one. Found lots of good stuff. Think you guys are going to enjoy it. Let's go. Like we always do, before we jump into a lake breakdown, we always like to go out to whatever state we're in. Typically we're in Texas, so we go out to the Texas Park and Wildlife page and just look at some of the lake characteristics that we have out here for Lake Livingston. And also just to kind of get a feel for what this lake is like, what the water clarity is like, all of that good stuff. Texas Park and Wildlife does an excellent job of helping you prepare for going out and fishing, and they also do a great job of keeping our reservoirs basically the best in the entire nation. So hats off to Texas Park and Wildlife. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. We're looking at Lake Livingston. Lake characteristics, the location is on the Trinity River in Polk, San Jacinto, Trinity, and Walker counties. The dam is actually in Polk and San Jacinto counties west of Livingston and 50 miles north of Houston. The surface area on this lake is 90,000 acres, so it's a decent sized lake. Maximum depth is 77 feet, so pretty deep for a Texas lake, and it was impounded in 1969. When you look at the water conditions, it does say that the fluctuation is 1 to 2 feet annually. So you'll notice on the lake breakdown that we don't have any drastic changes here to be able to show you, but we were able to find quite a bit of stuff. And then if you look at the clarity, it says moderately to highly turbid. And typically when I see this, that to me means that bass fishing is probably not very good. I hate to say that for those of you guys that are out here wanting to know about Lake Livingston, but that's just one thing, and I could be totally wrong. This might be just a hammer time lake in Texas. I don't know, but typically if you see that where the water clarity is moderately to highly turbid, anytime you see turbid, it starts to kind of concern you. But the one thing that I will say here is a lot of times when I've seen that, those lakes fluctuate a ton, and this lake does not seem to fluctuate that much, so maybe that won't be the case here. It is controlled by the Trinity River Authority, and when we go down here and we look at aquatic vegetation, it says that native emerging plants are limited to the upper areas of the reservoir and the backs of the coves and the embayments. The floating exotic water, the hyacinth, is found throughout the reservoir. So if you can find some of those hyacinth I can't even talk today, hyacinth patches, those are really good to fish around, to punch, all that good stuff. So that could be a good way to catch fish here. We go out and look at the lake records. I took a look at it a minute ago. It actually has here the largemouth bass at 13.9 pounds. That was back in February 21st of 2010. Caught it on a crankbait. Can you imagine catching a 13-pounder on a crankbait? That would be awesome. All right, let's go back and look and see what else we have. Certain bag size limits for this lake. I don't think there was anything special, but always go and check that out. And then when we look down here for angling opportunities, it says that largemouth bass is fair for this lake. Catfish is excellent. Crappie is good. White bass is excellent. Striped and hybrid bass are good as well, and sunfish are good. You'll also notice that we do have fishing cover and structure, that they have put in PVC fish habitat structures and placed them throughout the reservoir. If you click on this, which I'm not going to, it'll bring you up a map that shows you where all these structures are that they put for all the lakes in Texas. And so what we've done is basically I've taken that file, I've downloaded it, and then I've included it on the files that you get from Simplistic Fishing. So that way you don't have to try to piecemeal all this together. We just put it all together for you. So any of the Texas Park and Wildlife fish attractors that are out here on this lake, you're going to see them here in just a second on our breakdown. So when we look back down here for the final thing, tips and tactics, see a lot of stuff about white bass and channel and blue catfish, but right here you'll see it. It says largemouth bass are most frequently caught in the bays and the creeks from Kickapoo, Pinawa area and northward. Spring and fall are the most successful seasons for largemouth. So I don't know if I actually pronounced that second one right, but definitely focus on those areas. Basically, it's telling you the areas that you need to go to, so you need to look at the bays and the creeks on the northern end are going to be your most productive areas. Now that's according to Texas Park and Wildlife. Let's actually dive into the map and see what we can find. Well, here we are out on Lake Livingston, and before we jump into anything, I always like to kind of walk you guys through the left-hand side here on Google Earth to show you how we have the lake broken down by pretty much different categories. So let's go ahead and just uncheck all of this. I'm going to go ahead and draw the lake all the way back up to 2020 or whatever the latest image is, so you can see the latest one we have. And let's start by just looking at the channels and ditches in this lake. So you've heard me talk a lot about on other breakdowns where you really need to focus on the creek channels. The creek channels are where the fishes are. If you can find the creek channels, you're more than likely going to find hot spots for fish. And so what we've done is we've included these tracks on those channels so that when we get into the lake, we know exactly where those channels are. So let's say, for example, this area right in here. The image here is not very good, but if I draw this back some, say to 2019, or even go as far back as 2013 or 2012 has kind of been my best image, somewhere in that range, you can really see clearly defined where that channel is. So you can see it there, you can see it on this one, and you can see it really well when we get upriver. We get up in here. This is where things really start changing. But look, the water's way down here, and this shows you exactly where that river channel is. Where you probably would know where that river channel is in there, but you might not understand where these creek channels are in the backs of these coves and stuff like that. When the water is up, obviously you have no idea where that is at. So just some things to take a look at. We've also got the Texas Park and Wildlife fish attractors. We've got a lot of those out here. I talked to you guys about those a minute ago. Here are all the different fish attractors on the lake. Notice how they don't have too many down here on the southern end of the lake, but they definitely have a lot more on the northern side up in here and all up in this pocket as well. So something to take a look at and something to consider if you go out there fishing. You know, if they put those fish attractors in those areas, they did them for a reason, because there's probably a high percentage of fish in those areas. So you really need to concentrate in those areas to find those fish. Now we've also got a lot of debris and a lot of laydowns. There was a lot of that on this lake, a lot of laydowns on this lake, a lot of debris that I can't really tell what it is, a little bit of rock, but other than that, just a lot of stuff to go check, just a lot of stuff to fish around, brush piles, laydowns, debris, all kinds of stuff. So we've got all of those marked, and we'll go through those here in a second. We talked about those fish attractors. We've also got offshore hotspots. Now we're not going to talk about those today in the breakdown, because what we're going to actually do is we're going to go back and we're going to talk about all these offshore hotspots using the Navionics mobile app, so that way you can actually see the contours of this lake and understand why I picked those as offshore hotspots. So we'll take a look at those later. We've also got ramps. If you guys have heard me do any of the lake breakdowns before, or even watched any of our fishing videos, you'll know that here in Texas, ramps can be a very productive pattern to run, especially certain types of ramps. If you find a ramp, you know, that's in a certain depth or something like that, maybe not a certain depth, but maybe it's off of points or something like that, something that the ramps have in common, or even just those ramps that are out there in the middle of nowhere and there's just one ramp there, the fish like to attract that stuff. So definitely go out and check out the ramps. If you're struggling, go jump on a ramp pattern and see what you find. I guarantee you're going to catch some fish. And then last but not least, the last thing we have is all the different areas in the lake where we're able to find rock by pulling the water down and really trying to find what we could out there. Also, you know, you've got a lot of riprap on this lake down here by the dam area and stuff like that, so we'll take a look at that. So let's go ahead and jump into this thing. I'm going to select everything on the screen. I'm going to take the offshore off. I'm going to remove this little sidebar so you don't see that anymore, so we can get a full screen here. Center this up, and then what I'm going to do up here is I'm going to go to the little history bar, and that's going to make this bar come up for me. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw this back to 2013. And the reason why I'm doing that is because we're going to start down here on the southern end of the lake, and when we get to the northern end of the lake, I'm actually going to move it over to 2012. But if I move it back to 2012 on this image, or it takes me to this one, and I can't see squat. So what we're going to do is we're going to start down here. Now it's going to do 2012. We'll start down here, but you may see me adjust the timelines if things aren't really showing up the way that I want them to. So let's go ahead and just start down here at the dam, and let's work our way up and then north and east, and we'll work our way back down to the west, and we will end somewhere down here around the Lake Livingston lookout point. So obviously on the dam, great place to fish. You've got lots of riprap. You also have a nice little Texas Park and Wildlife fish attractor there. As you move over here to the eastern side, a lot more rock and riprap around that area. But you get over in here, you have some little areas of rocks. You've got a little bit there, and then you've got a little bit back in here as well. You've also got some kind of a seawall or something going on right in here that could be very interesting to fish right off the corners of those. Now, if I draw that up to 2014, you're going to see that actually I figured they would be submerged. 2019, they're still not totally submerged, but you can definitely tell there's going to be some good stuff to fish around down there. So let's draw this back to 2012 again. And let's keep moving on up. So as we move up, obviously, you know, some docks there to fish and things like that. I didn't see anything spectacular about those docks. There is another one of those seawalls that are over here. They like those little corners. So if I was gonna hit up those seawalls just while I was driving by or something like that, I would just fish the corner there. And then I would fly up here and just fish the corner there. Just fish both of those corners. Now, as you're moving up again, we've got lots of docks to fish. So you could definitely get on a dock type pattern if you wanted to, but I really didn't see anything spectacular about the docks. Now, if there is something spectacular about the docks, we'll talk about it on the offshore stuff because we would be able to see it from the contour side. You've got a pretty good little rocky area here. Looks like maybe a possible ramp right there. Looks like it. So you could fish around that ramp and also the rock around that point. Now, as I zoom back out, I'm going to kind of show you guys where I am. We started here at the dam. Now we're going to move up here closer towards the stake part and just see what we can find up there. So there's the rock we talked about. We're gonna go in this first little pocket, and really, you know, you don't see a ton of stuff in here. This looks very interesting. The water clarity looks interesting too, but really we've just got a lot of junk back here. Got a lot of laydown, so if the laydown pattern was on, that'd be good. You got a little bit of rock back in here. A lot of laydowns all along the shoreline. And then here you've got some pretty good riprap that runs basically off this wall. Again, fishing that wall, fishing the corners of that wall, and then also all through here, fishing the ramp, those rocks there. You got some laydowns and some brush piles over there as well. So some pretty good stuff. Again, as we move on up, we've got more of these seawalls where they end off at. Checking those out, you've got rock here, you got some laydown, some more rock that's over there as well. And then as we get over here around Lakeview Point, we swerve around. You'll also see some additional laydown, some more rock around this bank line as well. You've got a boat ramp back here, another boat ramp here. And then if you come out a little ways, you'll see Texas Park and Wildlife has a fish attractor that's out here. So that can be something to take a look at for sure. I like how it's positioned in that bay. Some more laydowns over here, got some ramps, just some rock around the docks and stuff like that. Nothing crazy. Now, if you zoom back in here, you're gonna notice behind these two docks, you've got two little trees. I don't know if they're cypress trees or what they are, but anytime you see stuff like that you want to go fish that, right? Just go back there, flip around it, see what you can find. There's going to be times of the year when they're really going to be attracted to that. Now, also, when we move back over here, we've got a ramp, and then you've got a really nice, long, like riprap point that's over here that you could work and probably catch fish on year-round. So that's going to be probably a community type place. It's easy to see, you know, it's easy on the eyes. You know you're going to catch fish there. You're probably going to find a lot of people fishing there. Now, you're also going to find some catfishermen fishing off these long extended points as well. So make sure to give them some room, let them fish. Man, we got the whole entire lake to fish. Let's not crowd each other or, you know, cause problems for the people that are trying to fish off the bank. So let's keep on moving up, see what else we could find here. We've also got some more rock that's in there. That's very nice. Docks City. I mean, I think probably my guess would be that most people are going to say if you go to this dock, you know, or if you go to this lake, fish the docks. And that's just because there's so many of them. It's the easiest thing to fish. But if you can find some patterns that are outside those dock patterns, those are probably going to have the bigger fish, the less pressured fish. It's just going to be a better way to go. But if you're just trying to catch fish and you're struggling, just go to these docks. I'm sure these docks are going to hold fish. Docks and fish just go together. It's definitely something I would fish if I was on this lake. Now, as we move on back, we've got laydowns back here. We've got another ramp that's back here, some additional shallow rock that's up here. So, you know, you can get up there with a shallow diving crankbait, shaky head or something like that, catch a few there in those areas. As you move up here, you've also got just some debris and stuff. There's some old tires that are out here. There's a giant laydown that's here. Just a lot of stuff going on in that area. And then I didn't find too much going up this whole bank line. You'll see, I mean, we've got just docks galore Got a little boat ramp there, but didn't really find anything, that could point out to you guys. Another ramp back here, a couple ramps around this area here. This is the Clean Pups Grooming. I don't think you guys are going to know where that is, but how about the Beacon Bay Marina? When you get outside the Beacon Bay Marina, you got a little boat ramp there you could try to fish around. And then out here by this fishing pier, you've got some rocks and stuff all in here. You've also got, if I zoom in here, you'll see it. Looks like maybe an old fishing pier or something like that. So you could flip around those little piers and stuff like that. See what you could find. Again, shallow diving crankbaits, all that fun stuff around that riprap. Also go out here. Anytime you see these fishing piers, scan out here. See if you see anything out here. A lot of times they like to cast out here and they'll put brush piles out in this area. So definitely scan in that area and see if you can find anything there. More riprap going all along here. I don't know what this is, if these are buoys or pillars or what they are, but if they're little pillars, you could definitely fish around those again with crankbaits, flipping, stuff like that. That could be a productive little spot right there. All right, let's move on up. We got docks. Imagine that. We got docks. I thought Cedar Creek had a lot of docks, but this lake is definitely in competition with it for sure. So as you come up here, we get past all those docks, just some things to check out. I don't know what this stuff is. The local people here are probably going to let me know in the comments, as they usually do, but there's definitely some type of debris that goes all the way in through here. This is an old seawall or what it is, but you can see it. It comes all the way out here and comes all the way through here. And those things like that, I mean, they're just fish attracting magnets. You definitely want to go over there and check it out. One thing you want to do is be careful with your boat, because I don't know how far out away from the shoreline that is, but definitely want to go look at that and fish around that. That is going to attract fish for sure. Moving up here, we've also got a Texas Park and Wildlife fish attractor that's right there in that little zone. So that looks like a good spot to back up and kind of show you where I'm at. So as we've moved on up here, we kind of covered this area. We're in this bay that's right here. And that fish attractor is dead center right there. Now, as you move up here, we've got some laydowns you can check out. You've also got a little bit more rock that's over here off these seawalls. You can check out those areas. Coming down, you've got some more Texas Park and Wildlife fish attractors. Another boat ramp that's there. I didn't see anything back here in this cove, although this cove does look interesting. Looks like it could be a good little spawning cove to check out in the springtime. Moving back here, there were just a couple things I wanted you to check. I don't know what the heck is going on back here, but right in here, I don't know if this is an old pond and that's a pond dam and you can get through it. I don't know if you could or not, so I just wanted you to check it and see what you could find there. And then moving over, you've got a lot of shallow docks. You can tell they're shallow just by how long these walkways are. A lot of docks to fish. You've also got one little area in here I wanted you to take a look at. I don't know what this is, but there's definitely something here. You can see it right underneath that flag. If I move that flag over, you'll see it. So I don't know if there's an old tire or a silo or what the heck it is, but check it. It's unique. It's definitely going to hold some fish at some point in time as well. You got some more ramps that are in there. And then moving down here, you get off of this point and you'll actually find some pretty decent little riprap and stuff right there off of this point right here. So let's zoom back in here and show you. This is all the riprap along that point. You've also got them all the way in here, kind of going back in here to this little cove, and then come back out. You got the seawall, then it breaks back down to the rock in these two areas. Those shallow, rocky areas like that are really good places to just maybe not catch giant ones, but definitely be able to have some action and catch some fish. You've got some ramps here, lots of ramps. I did want you to check this area here. I can't tell if this is just a broken part of the seawall that's broken down or what it is, but there could be some debris and things like that inside the water there that you'll want to take a look at. I'm going to back out just to show you where I'm at. So we went across that point, and now we're going to move on up. We're going to go up here into this area, see what else we can find. We got a ramp there. I'm not even going to zoom into it because it's not worth zooming in for a ramp, but I will zoom in here and just show you these docks. Now, a lot of these docks that we've seen, they've just got a seawall behind them, and you can definitely go up and fish the seawalls, or you can fish the dock, and the fish will move from the outside pillars to the inside pillars to the seawall and back, and they'll migrate and do all that stuff, especially the ones that are residential there. But if you can find docks that have rock and some depth, then now you're kind of talking about maybe a little bit more productive dock. And this dock here, or this kind of group of docks, I guess really just two of them here, these really stand out to me. And the reason why is, one, because notice the short little walkways these have. That means these docks have depth. They're not worried about the lake getting too shallow like those other docks that we saw a minute ago that have those really long walkways. So if we went down to this side, I think it was back in here, notice these right here. This just tells you, just from looking at Google Earth, that this is a shallow area. This is very shallow. Look how long those are. Those docks that we looked at just a second ago, though, are totally different. They're very, very short. Look how short all these are. So these are going to be your deeper docks. Your shorter walkways are your deeper docks. And then you find rock by the dock. Now you're talking, and you're semi on a point here, right? You're somewhat off the point. I'm not going to say a perfect point, but somewhat off of a point here. Main lake, that's going to be a good area. Check out those rocks. You've also got more rock in here, more ramps there as well. Again, you know, got some deeper docks in this area and some more ramps up there too. And then as we get around here off this island out here, we've got another ramp that's in this area. Just something I wanted you to check in here. I couldn't tell what this was, but when you move the water around, it looks like this used to be like maybe an old road, possibly. Like maybe this road used to come out through here. I'm not sure, but definitely check here and see if you have any old road bed or debris or anything like that that might be worthy of fishing around, because the fish love to attract to that type of stuff. Now we're going to go out here way off this big point that comes out. And again, just a ton of docks out here in this area. You can tell where the shallow docks start, again, by just looking at the walkways. There was a spot in here I wanted you to check. I don't know what this is. I don't know if this is an old dock. It could be an old platform like this that's way out here, but check it out. It could also be a prop killer, so be careful, but definitely look in there. If those are old posts that are just out there and they're submerged, the big girls love to live off stuff like that. It's just a little bit different than everything else in the area. Moving over here, you'll see a lot of shallow docks. On this backside, you see a lot of deep docks. So something to think about as you're going through there. Now, as I'm going to move on down here, we also have another ramp that's in this area. We've got some rock that's back in here, just some shallow rock. You can see it really exposed with the lake being down here off these seawalls. Man, I have had some heydays fishing around seawalls with rock, with chatterbaits, with crankbaits, with shaky heads, with even Senkos. So that is definitely a place that you want to look. If you can find areas on this lake where you have that seawall like this and you have the rock, that is a great combination to go take a look at. It would be great right now and in the fall. I mean, the fish have moved up, they're shallow. Those are the types of places that they're going to look at, so definitely look in those areas. We've got some more laydowns that are back in here as well. And then as we move up, just some things I wanted you to check out over here by this marina. I wanted you to check over here on this dock. Let's see what I had going on here, because something triggered me to want you to look at that. Let's see if I can get a better image here. No. There's clearly something there, and there it is. So as I move in to go to 2014, there's something right there. I don't know what that is. It could be nothing, but it looks like something might be exposed there. So just check on the edge of this dock and just see if there's anything there. Again, it might not be anything at all, but definitely worth going and looking at, because it could be that secret little honey hole or something like that. Now, moving in here, we've got a few different areas where you got some laydowns, right? You got a laydown here that's pretty big. You've also got a group of laydowns kind of back in here in the corner. But the main thing here to look at is all the different Texas Park and Wildlife fish attractors. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different fish attractors in this area. So you know this is a good area. It looks like it has some type of a creek back in here, Indian Branch. Looks like it flows back in here. I can't tell where the actual creek channel is, but you can kind of tell by this image that it comes through here somewhere, swings around, and probably comes up back through here. So it's definitely got some oxygen feeding in here, some fresh water and stuff like that. This is going to be a productive area to go take a look at. So let's go ahead and just stop right there, and that way next time we come back, we will start right here at this marina and we will work our way north. Hopefully you guys are enjoying all this content. I haven't mentioned it much on the video, but make sure to go out and check out simplisticfishing.com. We have several lakes that are out there, over 100 lakes in Texas and about 175 lakes nationwide. So we continue to do these lake breakdowns. And basically what we do is we take all of these waypoints, we put them on an SD card for you, or you can buy the digital file, and you import those into your fishing graph, and you now have all the entire lake broken down for you right there in front of you. You'll have the offshore hotspots. You'll have all the stuff that we talked about today. It just makes fishing so much easier and allows you to break down the lake immediately. And when you're on the lake, it allows you to really pattern in on some fish. So make sure to go check it out, simplisticfishing.com. And when I come back on the next video, we're going to continue on and see what else we can find on the lake. Till next time, hope you catch your PB. Take it easy.